Hello everyone, thank you for joining me today. My name is Anastasia Klimovic and I am a senior at Penn State University World Campus. I major in energy and sustainability policy and also minor in energy business and finance. Today I will share with you the research work on current energy related legislation, and I will also analyze the political, economic and environmental implication of this policy, and after that's done I will advise the stakeholder and give some recommendation on building coalition against this legislation. So let's get started. Thank you. So why I decided to go with Texas Senate Bill 931? When I first saw this legislation, I got very upset because it is truly interesting why a state that is doing so well in renewable energy development suddenly refuses to do so and prefers to cancel RPS program and CRES program. I wanted to follow the current trends in state policy making and see which organizations are behind this process. It's also very important to discuss this issue because we're going to have presidential elections soon, and we need to know that every person can make a difference by voting, by creating coalition, by joining coalition. So it is extremely important to look at the legislation and to realize that we can make a difference. In order to prepare for my presentation and have a general feel of what audience know about renewable energy certificates, I have performed a small survey in Bucks County Community College for 50 students in the cafeteria, and I asked them whether they were aware of what renewable energy credits were and whether our state of Pennsylvania have the program. Unfortunately, 34 out of 50 people were completely unaware of what the program was, so I decided to include a small explanation before we get to the further legislation of what RECs were. The idea behind this program is in the notion that some percentage of the electricity consumed within a state has to come from a renewable energy source. If a utility does not have the means to produce energy from renewable energy sources of like solar batteries, wind turbines, or geothermal installation, it can purchase, trade, or barter the required amount of clean energy with other utilities. The utility that produces REC can certify the units of energy and then sell certificates and their clean electricity to supply companies, which in turn have to present compliance documents to the state's regulatory body. Essentially, REC's program is similar to the carbon trading, but instead of trading avoided emissions of CO2, the kilowatt-hours of renewable energy are traded. Although there have been some talks about federal law that would promote REC, today the state government are still main endorsers of the renewable energy credits program. To date, 29 states, Washington, D.C., and 2 territories have accepted RECs into their energy portfolio, and 8 states and 2 territories have set renewable energy goals. The benefit of the state government being in charge of their own REC program is that they better than anybody else know the potential of their state for energy production from renewable energy sources. Some states measure their renewable credits requirement in percentage of kilowatt hours of total electricity sales or peak electricity sales, like in Kansas, while some states, like Texas and Iowa, define the specific amount of electricity to be produced from renewable energy sources rather than providing a percentage. So as you can see, Pennsylvania, of course, has its own renewable energy certificate initiative, which called Alternative Energy Portfolio, and it was accepted in 2004. And goals of this portfolio call for electricity production for renewable energy sources by 18% by 2020-2021. Now let's take a look at Texas renewable energy generation requirements and why this program was so successful in Texas. The state of Texas was one of the first states to pass the legislation that allowed adopting an ambitious renewable energy program. The Texas Renewable Portfolio Standard, RPS, was first introduced to the Senate on March 17, 1999 in the Senate Bill SB 7. This bill was introduced by Senator David Sibley and was sponsored by Senator Stephen Wallens. The SB 7 is also known as a bill that deregulated Texas energy market. Among many other important issues, such as allowing consumers to choose their own utility provider and lowering electric rates for residential and small commercial customers by 6%, the bill also established the Texas Renewable Portfolio Standard. Under SB 7, the regulatory body that was in charge of further development of RPS program was the Public Utility Commission of Texas, PUCT, which further appointed Electric Reliability Council of Texas, ERCOT, as the program administrator of the Renewable Energy Credit Trading Program. Only officially registered utilities can trade the renewable energy credits, which give the governing bodies more amount of control and oversight of the renewable credit market. Now let's talk about the goals of the program. So by 2015, the amount of electricity produced from renewable energy sources should amount to 5,880 megawatt, and also by 2025, it should reach 10,000 megawatt. Well, these goals were achieved and overachieved very soon in Texas. According to ERCOT, the state of Texas surpassed its initial 2025 target in 2009 and even have 13,359 megawatts of additional renewable energy capacity in 2013. The report also stated that by May 2013, the electric generation from renewable resources in Texas increased 7% in 2014 and compared to 2011, with capacity about 16%. Now let's take a look at some maps that show solar and wind energy production potential in Texas. In the bottom right, you can see the Texas annual average wind speed at 80 meters map, which shows the potential of energy production from wind source throughout the state of Texas. And we can see that the most potential is on the northwest of the state, and unfortunately this is the least populated area. And we'll talk about this later, how this energy could be transferred to the more populated coastal areas of the state. Because we don't want to overload the grid with extra energy. Texas is ranked number 1 state in the United States in wind energy production, with overall 20% of all installed capacity in the nation. Wind energy generation proved to be extremely viable for Texas because of its geographic and geologic position, and also its climate patterns, and the fact that it does not require water use, which is a scarce resource in the area. The area under the turbines could still be used for other purposes, such as livestock raising and agriculture. In 2014, the installed capacity of wind energy generation exceeded 12,214 megawatts, which is enough to power 3.3 million households. Rapid development of wind energy producing industry also increased the demand related to industry products, which made Texas the number 1 in the nation in wind energy related manufacturing. On the top left, you could see the global solar radiation at latitude tilt map. And you can also see that the largest potential of energy production from solar installation is on the northwest of the state, which is the least populated areas. Texas has a great opportunity of utilizing solar energy, and according to SECO, it is ranked number 1 in the nation in solar potential. According to the Texas Renewable Energy Industry Report, Texas was ranked number 12 nationally in grid-connected cumulative installed PV capacity in 2012 with 140.3 megawatts of power. Rooftop PV systems comprise about Texas of solar projects. According to the ERCOT, statewide solar generation increased 265% from 2011 to 2012 alone. These two maps explain biomass and geothermal energy production potential of Texas. In the bottom right corner, you can see biomass resources map, and we all know that biomass is one of the oldest sources of energy production known to the mankind, and in Texas, due to the vast territories, favorable climatic and geographic condition, and also well-developed agricultural industry, the state has extensive opportunities for developing biomass energy production. State Energy Conservation Office (SECO) estimated that over 19 million tons of biomass throughout the state could be used for biofuel production in Texas annually. The state government also provides certain incentive for the biomass industry in order to increase their share in the state RPS portfolio by passing favorable legislation and providing grants to help funding biomass research and development. For example, House Bill 1090 encouraged the construction of facilities that generate energy with agricultural waste to help reach the state's goal for creating and using renewable energy. The former governor of Texas had awarded $5 million grant as part of the Texas Bioenergy Strategy to research biofuel advancement. In 2008, the U.S. Congress had approved the Food Conservation and Energy Act, which promoted the commercialization of biofuels and encouraged the production of biomass crops throughout the nation. These efforts led to an increase in biomass energy production, as well as the increase in ethanol and biodiesel production, giving Texas the #1 spot in the production of biodiesel, 428 million gallons per year. Experimental research programs like energy production from algae and cellulosic plants also received substantial state and federal support. In the bottom left, you could see the geothermal energy production potential of Texas map at the temperatures of 12,000 feet below the ground. Although it is not well covered as wind or solar energy production, the thermal energy production potentials are huge in Texas. To extract the geothermal energy from Earth, wells are drilled deep into the ground, which allow the steam to rise to the surface and turn the turbine. As Texas has a well-established and developed oil and gas industry, which also allow extensive geological research and experience in well drilling, the geothermal energy production could be implemented in state with less investment because people already know the structure of the ground and wells are already drilled. Large amount of hot fluids that are byproducts of fossil fuel extraction could also become the sources for geothermal energy production. Texas State Energy Conservation Office estimated that within 10 years, Texas could have 2,000 to 10,000 megawatt in generating capacity from geothermal resources. Access to the oil and gas wells already existed. As it could be seen from the slides above, renewable energy generation is a rapidly developing industry in Texas. The pace that renewable energy megawatts were added to the grid created an additional pressure on the existing grid that could potentially cause blackouts and power supply interruptions. Another challenge that was associated with renewable energy generation lays in the fact that sites of renewable energy production seldomly lie next to the area where they need it the most. For example, Texas wind resources are greatest in the West Texas, while the majority of the population and power demand lies in the eastern half of the state. Furthermore, West Texas wind blows hardest at night when energy demand and prices are low. To address these issues, PACT, in collaboration with ERCOT, established the Comparative Renewable Energy Zones (CREZ) transmission project in West Texas. The project was completed in 2013 and costed around $7 billion. The CREZ transmission plant (CTP) added more than 18 gigawatts of transmission capacity to the grid in order to safely move the power generated from wind farms in Texas Panhandle and West Texas to highly populated areas of the eastern part of the state. According to the Texas Renewable Energy Industry Report, the new transmission lines will enable Texas to provide 3 times as much available wind power as any other state. Although CREZ was originally developed to incorporate additional electricity that was generated from wind farms, this project would also benefit non-wind renewable energy producers as well as traditional fossil fuel powered plants. This is the review of significant accomplishments of renewable energy projects in Texas. The wind. Texas ranked #1 in the U.S. in wind energy production, with capacity enough to power 3.3 million homes. Solar. Texas ranked #9 in grid-connected PV capacity in the nation, with enough power to power 57,000 homes. Biomass. Texas ranked #1 in the U.S. in biodiesel production, with 428 million gallons per year. Geothermal energy production also has a great potential because it could be extracted through already drilled gas and oil wells, which potentially could lead to 2,000 to 10,000 megawatt of electricity production from geothermal sources. Taking into consideration the current state of renewable energy development and its rapid advances, it was a truly surprising situation when in 2015 a Republican Senator Troy Fraser, who in 2005 had championed the renewable energy development, introduced a bill that was supposed to stop RPS programs and close down the CRES project. Although the traditionally conservative Texas Senate was cautious about limiting the development of renewable energy sector in the region because of its strong recent gains, especially in the wind energy sector, Senator Fraser did not hesitate to put forward a bill that would negatively impact the renewable energy industry of the state, as well as create a regressive precedent for other states to follow. Apart from Fraser's personal agenda, the SB 931 also fell on the times of Senate session when renewable energy issues were not as relevant as defining a new budget and funding education projects. Fraser had the opportunity to utilize the notion that the current goals of RPS program and CRES statute has been met, and he tried to persuade other senators to see if the available funds could be used to solve other pressing issues. Another important stakeholder in the issue, the Public Utility Commission of Texas, PUC, even before the SB 931 was introduced, had suggested these challenges in the legislative recommendations, which further limited the base of renewable energy supporters. It is also important to consider that SB 931 was not introduced in a policy vacuum. According to Chris Hodges' article, Texas Renewables Narrowly Escaped Policy Setback, 2015. Renewable companies face the ever-present threat to remove renewable energy development from the list of industrial projects eligible for beneficial treatment under the Tax Code Chapter 313, which allows certain industrial development project to negotiate a limit on property valuation with local school district for up to 10 years. They have been a key tool for Texas wind developers and will be a key for solar as well. It may be understandable that every additional regressive policy or threat of removing financial and other incentive would lead to additional uncertainty in the renewable energy sector, which will reduce the quantity of potential investors and also create difficulties in obtaining loans and credit from industrial institutions. So in his bill, Senator Fraser, he mainly concentrates on two areas. And first, he determines to terminate RPS program. And the second, he wants to cancel CRES statute. Objectively analyzing the information about a renewable energy project development in Texas, we can determine that the implementation of REC program has been one of the most important legislative solutions to the issue of growth of renewable energy in the state. Despite this, Senator Fraser proposed several reasons why RPS are no longer needed in Texas. For example, he said that because of 1999 and 2005 goals of renewable energy production has been already achieved, the REC program support is no longer needed in Texas. He also said that CRES lines are already built and they have enough capacity to transfer all additional power from wind generating facilities in the west of the state. He also mentioned that already allocated funds for REC programs, they could be used somewhere else, and this is one of the reasons why Senate supported Senator Fraser in this bill. One of the main purposes of our Capstone project was the identification of the stakeholders who were affected by passing of the legislation. I will begin with the stakeholder who oppose SB 931. As you may have guessed, groups that oppose the bill mainly come from two categories. First, environmental groups, and the second, organizations that are professionally involved in renewable energy production. The first group I want to describe is Environment Texas, which is a citizen-based environmental advocacy organization that focuses its effort on protecting Texas natural resources and on raising public awareness about the ecological challenges that are important for the state. It is a 501(c) nonprofit organization. The functioning of the organization depends on the funds that come from the members' donations and grants. The organization is located in Austin, Texas. Environment Texas strongly opposes SB 931. Luke Mesgo, director of Environment Texas, notes, this information is taken from the website. It is a big mistake to end the renewable energy program. The state voted to pull the rug from under the wind and solar industries, just as they are taking off and helping our environment and the economy. They are unfairly targeting wind and solar, even as vast majority of state subsidies still go to fossil fuels. This is a bad policy, and it will bite us in the rear when we are looking for ways to comply with new federal environmental standards. The next organization I would like to discuss is the Professional Wind Energy Producing Organization, Texas Wind Clearinghouse Association, which is a membership organization that represents a diverse range of stakeholders in the wind energy production industry. The clearinghouse provides a wide range of information about all the questions that are connected to the wind industry, from land owning and permits to technological and legislative sides of the wind energy production. The organization also provides information about employment in the wind energy projects and organizes a variety of meetings and events that help to connect the potential employers and people interested in working in this industry. Members of Texas Wind Clearinghouse include school districts, counties, heavy industry, small business, community and regional economic development institutions, ranchers, farmers, colleges and universities, harbors, chambers of commerce, cities, wind energy companies, and many more other stakeholder segments. This information was taken from Texas Wind Clearinghouse Association website. The location of organization is at Sweetwater, Texas, and it is mainly funded by charging membership fees. Texas Wind Clearinghouse Association strongly opposes the SB 931 because this bill undermines all the efforts that this organization had put in the development of wind industry in Texas. SB 931 creates the uncertainty for the stakeholders in wind energy projects and increases the risk for financial investment in renewable energy production. The third stakeholder I want to address is American Wind Energy Association, AWEA. This is a national trade membership organization that supports the development and growth of wind energy production. AWEA organizes annual conferences as well as educates law and policymakers about the benefits and opportunities of wind industry in U.S. Currently, AWEA consists more than 1,200 members organization and has regionally partners in many states. The headquarters of this group is located in Washington, D.C. AWEA is a nonprofit tax code designation 501c6 organization. Membership fees, donation, non-tax deductible, and sale of wind energy promoting merchandise online fund the organization. American Wind Energy Association strongly opposes SB 931. It has been a vocal supporter of the RPS policies. We acknowledges that the RPS policies provided much of the original growth for renewable energy in the United States, jump-starting the industry to develop new clean energy projects. Today, these markets are more robust and balanced, with demand coming from new sources such as corporate buyers and regional economic forces. RPS remains a significant source of demand, serve as a building block for renewable energy markets, and provide a window into possible compliance options for the upcoming Clean Power Plan issued by EPA this summer. This information is also taken from AWEA website. Now we will talk about the stakeholders who support SB 931. First of all is American Legislative Exchange Council, ALEC, is a membership organization for the state legislators. According to ALEC, their website, the organization provides guidance for the legislators and policymakers in order to make sure that the policies represent values of limited government, free markets, and federalism. The organization represents nearly 1/4 of the country's state legislators and stakeholders from across the policy spectrum. ALEC members represent more than 60 million Americans and provide jobs to more than 30 million people in the United States. ALEC is 501(c) organization which constantly falls under criticism for its disregard to the IRS status rules. According to IRS, the nonprofit 501(c) organization cannot get involved in political activities and cannot lobby for or against legislators. ALEC has been known to engage in many instances of political involvement. The headquarters of the organization is located in Arlington, VA. The main sources of funding are donation. American Legislative Exchange Council supports the SB 931. Although being a 501(c) organization, ALEC cannot directly support or oppose a policy or a bill, but many liberal advocacy and research groups find similarity of SB 931 and the bill introduced in other states. which are written in a similar, proposed by Alec manner. Alec is known to support conservative policymaking, which is supportive of the fossil fuels industry as well. The second stakeholder is the Public Utility Commission of Texas PUCT, which was established in 1975 and originally had broader regulating responsibilities. The current regulatory structure, which the Commission assumed, was in 1999 with the deregulation of Texas electricity and telecommunication markets. Today, PUCT mainly oversees the compliance to the state rules and legislation within the telecommunication and electric industries. The mission of the Public Utility Commission of Texas states, "We protect customers, foster competition, and promote high-quality infrastructure." This information is taken from PUCT website. The main office of PUCT is located in Austin, Texas. It is a state-funded organization. Public Utility Commission of Texas support SB Bill 931. According to the Chris Hodges article, Texas Renewable Narrowly Escapes Policy Setback, PUC suggested the same as Troy Frazier adjustment to the RPS legislation even prior to introduction of SB 931 to the Senate. The main argument of PUC is in support of canceling RPS and CREST programs in the state is the fact that Texas has already overachieved its goal of renewable energy production. And of course, the last but not least stakeholder is Troy Frazier himself, the senator who introduced the SB 931 to Senate in March of 2015. As he was chair of the important and powerful Senate Committee of Natural Resources, Troy Frazier has been a long and interesting relationship with renewable energy development in Texas. In 2010, he authored the legislation that required Texas to get 10,000 megawatts of electricity from renewable sources by 2025. However, in 2015, he drafted the legislation that was supposed to kill RPS and CREST programs. And although Frazier was given Wind Champion Legacy Award from the Wind Coalition, now he openly admits that he also supports fossil fuels industry and holds at least 12,000 to as many to almost 46,000 shares of stock in oil field operators, refinery, or service providers. He also disclosed earning thousands of dollars of interest in dividends from investing in those companies. As a father of SB 931, Troy Frazier obviously supports the bill. Taking into consideration the human factor, we can only assume why the senator changed his position from being a supporter of renewable energy development to deciding that RPS and CREST programs are no longer needed. In the slide, we can see the current status of SB 931. It was first introduced in March of 2015. It has passed the Senate in April of 2015 and was referred to the House. The bill never made it through the House, and in May 2015 was referred to the State Affairs despite of several co-authors. One of the points of our Capstone presentation was to find a policy that is current on political arena. And I understand that the SB 931 is pretty much dead, but also after talking to several people in Texas, for example, Luke Metzger, who is the director of Environment Texas, and Tom Smitty-Smith, who is a prominent political activist who lobbies in favor of renewable energy development, and they are very concerned that this bill would be coming back. So there's a great possibility that this legislation will be brought back during next legislative session. Recent political trends and coming back to conservative Republican values mean that fossil fuel industries would continue to invest huge amounts of money into political lobbying and crafting the energy policies that will be beneficial for them. According to Tom Smitty-Smith, during next session of Texas Congress in 2017, not only the main points of the SB 931 would be brought back, but many other aggressive for renewable energy development measures would be proposed. Mr. Smith thinks that one of the major obstacles for further integrating renewable energy into the main grid, which is the limited access to the main grid of the electricity produced from renewable sources, would be introduced during next congressional session. He's also concerned about the rumors that solar installation on rooftops and changes in transmission cost could become subject for the next political attacks of Republican Congress. And by all means, the SB 931 is not the only bill that was introduced that's supposed to reduce or even cancel the usage of REC or renewable energy standards. The aggressive measures towards REC programs have been on the rise in several states. The most recent and the most talked about case of unfavorable for renewable energy policy has been passed in Ohio in 2014. The SB 310 was signed into the law by Ohio Governor John Kasich, which is a current presidential candidate. And this bill for 2 years froze the REC program. The press and environmental organization blame the usual suspect, ALEC, Koch brothers, and the large utilities for this legislation. The proponents of the SB 310 claim that just like in case of the Texas SB 931, they do not want to hurt renewable energy industry and new renewable projects are welcome in the states. And the regressive bills are proposed so they can study and research the results of REC programs. This claim do not sit well with the supporters of renewable energy development, who wonder why the renewable energy industry is getting punished for being successful. The customary position between renewable-friendly politicians and politicians who are committed to push the agenda of fossil fuel industry continues to dictate the tone of online and printed publication, while scientists collect that data and publish the reports that simply present the state of renewable energy to date. Although SB 931 never passed the Texas Congress, the possibility of introduction of another aggressive towards renewable energy development legislation is very possible in Texas and in many other states across the nation. Naturally, the introduction of these bills would have some political, economic, environmental, and ethical implications. The representative of renewable industry consider RPS program to be an economic tool of advancement of renewable energy technologies, as well as an important political statement that acknowledges states' support of wind, solar, bio, and geothermal energy generation. Charlie Hammerline, Executive Director of Texas Solar Power Association, in an email to Government Technology, explained that the solar industry is not as dependent on RPS as wind industry, but that he still believes that stable business environment is critical to any industry, and the charges proposed by SB 931 could dampen investor interest. The telephone interview with manager of one of many Texas solar integrators, Texas Solar Power Company, Bill Capstone, confirmed the notion that investment for large solar installation projects were withholding their inquiries until they were sure that SB 931 didn't become a law. According to industry officials, the program costs $12 million to $40 million annually, the RPS program. For comparison, the state's tax breaks on natural gas production topped $1 billion in 2009, and that's natural gas, is not even considered crude oil. A representative of the industry that had the largest stake in the continuation of REC program, the wind industry, had issued many statements that explain how devastating the passage of SB 931 could be for their sector. The executive director of Wind Coalition, Jeff Clark, explained that even when the prices of REC were very low, the REC program creates long-term demand for clean energy on the market. And if SB 931 passes, the REC market will still exist. People will still able to buy renewable credit, but it removes the mandatory portion of market demand. That will reduce the value of RECs, and he also argued with Fraser about the insignificance of REC payments, stating that for some project in Texas, RECs represents 5% or more of the revenue. Multiply that by 14,000 megawatts of wind over the next 10 years, and that will be add up to big money. David Powell, Public Citizen Texas Deputy Director, also mentioned the importance of future market prices, which will be based on the demand for future REC payments. He writes that existing wind farms were financed with the expectation that they would have a robust renewable energy certificate market. By sort of finishing this up, it will remove one-third of the trading in the market, which will, like any market, collapse the pricing. He also don't believe that it's fair to yank the carpet out of underneath the people that brought their cash capital and employees to Texas without some sort of warning. In regards to the repealing of the CRES statute, SB 931 carries an even stronger political message. Taking into consideration the current trend in Texas policymaking of reduced support towards renewable energy, it is very likely that RPS will not be expanded anytime soon, making the repeal of CRES statute largely symbolic and creating a message that Texas is now hostile to renewable energy. Judging from the statements from the stakeholders who support and who oppose SB 931, we can determine that passing of the bill would carry both economic and political consequences. Senator Fraser claimed that RPS program didn't play a significant role in the recent rapid development of renewable energy industry in Texas, implying that the program didn't create economic incentive for the industry large enough to push the sector forward. This is not true because representatives of wheat industry widely acknowledge that REC future payments were factored into the extremely expensive wheat farm project and that removal of the REC payments would jeopardize the economic profitability of the projects. In addition, the opposition to SB 931 argued that the main goal of any RPS program, which would be an increase in renewable capacity, has been achieved, even overachieved in Texas. According to a report that and the survey by Center for Energy Economics, Bureau of Economic Geology, and University of Texas, Texas has been successful in this respect, surpassing the goals of both SB 7 and SB 20 in much shorter periods of time that allowed in the bills. Another important goal of RPS programs, which is economic development, is in some areas less economically developed interior areas of Texas, and green job creation has been also achieved due to REC introduction. Susan Williams-Lowe, Vice President of State Policy of AVIA, also acknowledged the economic benefits that RPS program has brought to renewable energy markets in Texas, saying that the Texas RPS has worked as an economic development tool and diversified the state's energy mix. States can look up to Texas to see the benefits of putting pro-wind energy policies in place. The wind industry employs over 17,000 people in the state and provides $42.5 million a year in payments to landowners who lease their land for wind turbines. Another important implication of acceptance of SB 931 or any legislation that alike to it are environmental implications. While evaluating SB 931, it is essential to consider the environmental factors surrounding the legislation. It is obvious that renewable energy is better for the environment than fossil fuels. Energy created from renewable energy sources is cleaner, less disruptive to the environment, and results in fewer greenhouse gas emissions. The reduced use of water, which is a scarce resource in Texas, is also a great benefit of renewable energy production. No wonder that the most powerful and influential environmental organizations such as Environment Texas, the Texas Association of Environmental Professionals, and Citizen Environmental Coalition of Houston are among the stakeholders who strongly oppose SB 931. Luke Meska, the director of Environment Texas, has been one of the most vocal critics of SB 931. The effects of the CREST transmission lines on the environment is not as obvious as REC effects, but according to Tom Conrad's article, Is There a Trade-off Between Economics and the Environment? In case of the CREST statute, he concluded that there is a little evidence of the trade-off between economic viability of CREST and environmental impacts. Considering the statement above, it is still extremely important to remember that proper analysis of the potential transmission lines route has to be performed in order to ensure that the best possible, least invasive for the natural and built-up environment route for the line or the one that would connect renewable energy generation project and high energy demand hubs would be taken. And of course, we also have ethical implementation of SB 931. An evaluation of SB 931 from the ethical point of view is a complicated task because it could easily become biased, with the researcher unintentionally skewing it toward their own point of view. After examining multiple sources originating from both supporters and opponents of the bill, I find the behavior of Senator Troy Fraser to be severely unethical. Being at the beginning one of the leading proponents of 1999 amendment to electricity market regulation bill that set the initial goal for renewable portfolio standard, and the legislature who championed the 2005 initiative that credited with making Texas the country's leading producer of the wind energy, it is surprising to see that he later came up with the bill negating his support for renewable energy industry development. Even while advocating for SB 931, Senator Fraser claimed that he was bullish towards the wind and solar industries in Texas, but I think this behavior could be considered as populist, and that is also create confusion among renewable energy investors and entrepreneurs. For the final part of my capstone project assignment, I would be creating a recommendation for the organization, for the stakeholder who is opposing SB 931, which would be environment taxes. I would be advising environment taxes because this organization has been extremely vocal during all stages of SB 931. Furthermore, the organization has provided great coverage in the press and on their website about the issues discussed in the bill. Another reason why I chose this organization is to pay respect to its dedication in protecting the environment and in developing concept of sustainable living in Texas. When I contacted the organization in order to obtain some information on SB 931, the director himself, Luke Metzger, was gracious enough to devote a significant amount of time to talking with me about the bills. As I have mentioned in the previous section, SB 931 never passed the House and failed to become a law, but removal of SB 931 from the current political agenda did not resolve the political pressure that renewable energy producers experiencing in Texas today. According to Tom Smith, the political climate in the United States in general and in Texas specifically has not been favorable for the last couple years. Renewable portfolio standards and REC programs in many states fell under criticism. He also predicted many more attacks on renewable energy producers and predicted an introduction of the legislations that limit, froze, and even completely cancel out REC programs. My recommendation to environment taxes on building coalition would specifically contain information that would address existing and potential policies that propose to limit and cancel RPS. So first, I would advise, of course, is to identify the stakeholders that would be interested in joining the effort of creating an opposition to any regressive RPS bill. The initial step of growing the network of supporters in favor of REC, a program would be reach out to the environmental organization and the representative of renewable energy industries. The benefit of this approach is because we are obtaining organizations that are already educated in the issue and have a large stakes in this issue. Reaching out to the representative of renewable energy and environmental organization would provide significant benefits because environment taxes would gain access to the wide network of dedicated individuals who do not require extensive education in the issues. In order to further extend the outreach of their coalition, Environment Texas needs to reach out and educate communities within the region where SB 931 minimizes the development of renewable energy industries. I would suggest implementing grassroots campaign to effectively engage communities. There are many effective and inexpensive ways to interest people in the issues. For example, establishing a presence in the social media. It wouldn't cost a lot, but it also has a potential to be very powerful in attracting public attention. Using social media also offers opportunity for fast and current updates on the legislative actions regarding the policies and allows two-way communication between organization and potential members, interested individuals or individuals with different views, which creates meaningful dialogue and grants additional credibility to organization. Ideally, the coalition should begin with its web presence by introducing the issues described by renowned and well-respected experts in the field. For Environment Texas, I would suggest Luke Metzger or Tom Smith to write the foreword that introduces the problem and stresses the importance of the outcome in regards to any renewable energy legislation for Texas and the nation. I also suggest establishing an electronic calculator which can indicate the count of visitors on the website or on the social media pages and show the count of people who actually had joined the coalition. This data will be extremely helpful while presenting the case during public hearings. Other more extensive and time-consuming but very effective ways of educating public about regressive renewable energy bill could be implemented by the coalition. Although some organizations still employ people to go door to door or call houses in order to educate people about pressing issues, I found these strategies ineffective because majority of the population is not comfortable talking to the strangers and simply disregard their phone calls from unrecognized phone number. I would suggest to employ volunteers to speak in the township meetings, in community college, and in public schools. For example, people also can go to assisted living communities where people are thirsty for new information and very excited about contributing to some political issue. Assuming the measures described above are effective, environment taxes will establish a stronger base not only among the members of renewable energy industry and environmental organizations, but also among people and communities. The next step in making the coalition more powerful involves reaching out to the members of Congress who could potentially oppose regressive legislation. The traditional divide, Democrats support renewable energy and Republicans support fossil fuels, is not completely accurate in regards to taxes present in Texas. The vast majority of Congress traditionally being Republican, it would be difficult for any friendly renewable energy legislation to become law. In Texas, it is normal for Republican senators to advocate a REC beneficial legislation, as it was the case with the father of SB 931, Troy Frazier, when in 2005 he advocated for increased RPS requirements. I would advise environment taxes to closely watch the agendas of Congress session and identify politicians who tend to favor renewable energy legislations. Having the support of members of the Senate or the House will increase the credibility of coalition and will make the work of lobbyists who testify on the side of renewable energy industry easier and more impactful. In order to address the stakeholders who support passing regressive renewable energy legislation, the coalition has to be confident in its case and has to support its claims with facts and undeniable data. To appeal to Congress, in which a strong opposition to regressive legislation needs to be cultivated, a coalition must have considerable number of members as well as the support of renowned experts. In the case of SB 931 and any other potentially unfavorable bill for renewable energy legislation, the coalition needs to investigate connections between the policies and the fossil fuel industry. The research must be introduced to the public and any biased information needs to be explained. The members of the press, those who oppose SB 931, presented the idea that ALEC not only is responsible for introducing this policy in Texas, but also is pursuing some kind of political trajectory in other states. The coalition should also closely watch the electric utilities and their reaction to the introduction of bills that propose the cancellation of REC, because it gives the utilities freedom to buy and sell cheaper fossil fuel-derived energy, which result in higher profitability for utility organization. I would suggest to the coalition that it does not need to engage in uncivilized arguments with supporters of unfavorable renewable energy industry legislation. It should focus on properly addressing all of its claims by providing extensive scientific and economic data to highlight the benefits of RPS for renewable energy sector development. This approach would add credibility to the coalition and also would reduce the risk of being accused of any wrongdoing. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions about my capstone, about bibliography, about the personal interview, please don't hesitate to call me or to email me. You have the information on the screen. Thank you and have a nice day.